All right, welcome to episode 6 of customizing the FPS template in Roblox. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff today. One being we're going to be making reserved ammo. Let's see, we're going to be fixing the reticle, and we're going to be fixing the how the third person looks. Let me explain what I mean by that. It's kind of weird wording. So you can see that we have our view model here, but if we look in the third person here, it still shows us holding the original blaster. So we're gonna be fixing that today. We're gonna be kind of speed running through a lot of this because I already have videos out on this. We're just gonna be implementing this into this template because at the end of this series, we're gonna be making this whole template open source for everyone to use. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and stay up to date on the content I put out. That being said, yeah, this one's gonna be kind of a long one because I want to get this done uh, hopefully by the end of the week. I think we only have like 2 episodes, uh, this one included, and then we're gonna do the shotgun last, where we're gonna do animations. I'm also gonna add a thing where you can resupply on ammo, so that shouldn't take too long, but that'll be all included in the next episode, and then we shall make this open source for everyone to use. Uh, I think what I'll do is I'll also go through a lot of scripts and kind of put comments inside the script so people can uh, kind of understand better, because I know it can be a little bit confusing when you're reading the code and stuff. But I will put in some comments at the end of everything. Yeah, let's enough of this, and let's jump right in. Okay, so like I said, this one's gonna be kind of a long one, depending on how much I get through today. So first thing we got to do is we got to go into our starter pack here. As with everything, when we want to add something, especially to like the blaster, we want an attribute. It's just easier because the a lot of the code is calling attributes inside the script. So it's better to use an attribute than to say like, okay, let me make a part, or let me kind of jump through all these hoops just to make it work. It's very simple just to make an attribute. Um, Luckily, the base template has a lot of this already made for us and kind of gives us a roadmap on how to do it. So that is kind of my method, where I'll just make a new attribute if I want to have something drastic inside the blaster. So let's make an attribute. We're gonna call it total ammo. And just like I say in every video, make sure it is spelled exactly everywhere. Okay. So change this to a number and we save. And Roblox already halfway there for making a reserved ammo sort of thing. So the ammo and the magazine are kind of working together. So when the ammo is at 0 or when you reload, it resets back to the magazine size. Now, we're going to be using that same logic, except now we're going to be um, kind of taking away. We're going to get the difference between the ammo, how much ammo we have, and the magazine size. And we're going to take that difference and we're going to subtract it from our total ammo and then reload back to magazine size. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So the AK, I'm going to say it's 120. I think that's a good amount. We're going to do the same thing for the pistol. Let's make an attribute. And just like the AK, total ammo. And we'll make this a number. And we'll say 60. And then we have our rocket launcher here. We'll do the same thing. Make the attribute. Total ammo. Number. Save. And we'll just say this is 5. I think that's a good amount. All right, so that's pretty much it for the tools. Um, so let's go inside replicated storage, inside our blaster folder, and let's grab our constants, because now that we've made a new attribute, we're going to put the attribute inside this constants module and then be able to call it later in our scripts. So let's do that. We'll say total ammo equals total ammo. And that's it for our constants. Now we're going to go inside our scripts folder and we're going to find our GUI controller. And as you can see, we have our blaster and reticle. We are going to be duplicating this blaster GUI. And what's happening inside the script here, is these GUIs are being parented to the player GUI and not the starter GUI, okay? So what we're going to be doing to kind of get around this, we are going to and we can't see it obviously. We're going to put the duplicated version inside the starter GUI just to be able to see it so that we can customize it, okay? Now, there's a couple things I want to go through. I don't want the picture here. We can always change the picture to whatever gun it is. That's very simple. So we're gonna go inside it, inside the blaster, and as you can see, we have the icon label. This is where you would change the image. If you get the image ID, and then you would just copy and paste and change the image of whatever you want. But me personally, I don't like it there. But being that the scripts call this icon label specifically, we can always erase it, which is not that big of a deal. But you know, as with any programmer, we're kind of lazy, so I'm just gonna make this transparent and call it good. Now for the ammo, we can go into it, and then we have our magazine label. Now this is gonna be very important because we're actually gonna be using this magazine label. But as for the ammo label, I think what I want to do is just we could change the color, we could change the font, we could change the size of it. We could do it all right here. But I think for the scope, we're just gonna be just changing the font. And then I think what I'll do is find this blaster frame here, and we're just going to be making it the background transparency all the way to 1. I think that's going to be look a lot better, a little bit more subtle, and I think that's all I'm going to do for customizing it. So we're actually going to go take this original one, and we're going to drag and drop it into our server storage. Now, why do I do this? Well, let's say I mess up somewhere along the way. Um, I always like to keep an original just in case for those mishaps. So now we can take our blaster GUI and we put it inside our GUI controller. And now we have our custom one ready to go, and we can actually test this out and see how it all looks. And that's how it looks. Looks pretty good. Now we're gonna have to juggle a couple scripts to make the reserved ammo to work. First we have to put it into the server, and then we have to confirm from the server to and then confirm it to the module on the client side. So that's why we have to kind of juggle. So let's go inside our GUI controller module. That's going to be first. So, and if we do a quick read, and you should do this all the time, you should just do a kind of a quick read. Luckily, Lua is very close to the English language, so we can kind of do a quick read. Okay, magazine size. There's our magazine size. Oh, there's our magazine label, and it's calling the magazine size. All right, and then we can go into our self, and we can see okay, blaster GUI. All right, and then we keep scrolling down, keep scrolling, and we just kind of see okay, update ammo text, that ammo. So we're gonna be kind of using the same logic here for our ammo. So the first thing we got to do is so we're gonna find our magazine size, right? We're actually gonna call our new constant local total ammo size equals blaster colon get attribute constants dot total ammo. Now that we have our total ammo size, we can actually change this magazine label here. We can change the text of it to say our total ammo size instead. Very simple. So, and then before we test this out, we'll go inside our self here. And we'll say max equals total ammo. I'll actually change this to max ammo so it's a little bit more readable. And yeah, we can actually test this out. And it should say our new attribute. 120, 10 out of 60, 1 out of 5. Okay, simple enough. And I think what we'll do is, do I want to go through the server first or just keep going? I think what we'll do is we'll just keep going through the server. Keep going through the module here. So we'll come down here and we'll make a couple new functions. Specifically, function GUI controller. Update max ammo. So we'll say self dot blaster GUI dot blaster dot ammo magazine label dot text equals self dot max ammo, which that's spelled correctly. We'll just take out the lowercase. I think that's what we'll do. That looks a little bit better, actually. Okay, so that's basically it for that. Now we need a new function for setting the max ammo. So we'll say function GUI controller set max ammo. And we can say self max ammo. And before we do anything, we'll say max ammo number. And we'll just make this equal to max ammo. And then we can say self dot self colon, I should say, update max ammo. Simple. So basically when this function gets called, we're gonna be passing the number here. So that's how we're gonna get this. And then we're gonna say self.max ammo equals max ammo. And then we're gonna say, okay, fire this function over here. And then we have to do something for the reload. So if we come down here, we can see the set reloading. And right below this, we can just say self set max ammo. And then we can say, we can actually pass self dot max ammo. And yep, that should be it. Now, this module is ready. So now let's go to let's kind of clean this up a little bit. Like I said, this is going to be, it takes a little bit of juggling to get this to work. We got to go inside our server script service. We have to go inside this blaster folder, inside scripts, and inside our blaster script. And if we do a quick read, so we have our rocket launcher function. We have our on shoot event. Go through. And we have our on reload event. This is where we're going to be working because, the ammo, the magazine, and the ammo working together is happening on this in this function on the reload side. So we have to get the difference and then subtract that difference. So we could make a new function called local max ammo equals blaster colon get attribute constants dot total ammo. And now we need the difference. So we're gonna say local difference equals magazine size minus our blaster colon get attribute constants dot ammo attribute because we want the difference between the magazine size and how much ammo we have. And then once we have that difference, we can actually here we'll actually print difference. Now that we have the difference, we can subtract that difference from our max ammo. So we can go over here inside this reload task. So when the reload happens, we can set attributes. So as the reload task is happening, we can say max ammo equals math dot max, say 0, max ammo minus difference. And then we can add a print max ammo just for testing purposes. So when we get the so in order, we're gonna get the we're gonna get max ammo, we're gonna get the attribute, we're getting the difference, we're printing the difference. We're setting max ammo, whatever the difference is, we're gonna minus that from the max ammo, and then we're gonna print how much ammo we have left on the server side. Once we have that number, we could say blaster set attribute constants dot total ammo, and then we can say max ammo. So to go through again, we're getting the max ammo, we're getting the attribute, we are getting the difference between the magazine and the ammo, whatever the difference is, we're gonna find it. Then when the reload happens, we're gonna take our max ammo and we're gonna subtract the difference from it. Once we have max ammo, we are gonna set the attribute to uh, max ammo. That's gonna be our new max ammo. So that should work on the server side. It's not gonna take effect on the client side just yet. So I'm gonna fire 2 bullets and I'm gonna reload 2 bullets, and as you can see, 2 bullets was the difference. And now the server saying the max ammo is now 58, and we can actually test this out. We'll fire 1 bullet, and now it's 150. Or sorry, now it's 57. Let's do this again. We'll fire a couple more bullets, 6, and now it's 51. So on the server side, it is validating that your total ammo is now 51, and it's getting the difference each time. And if we look um, inside our player here, we find our tool, we can actually see this take effect. So we find our total ammo, and you can see that it's validating on the server. Now that we have it validated on the server, we can actually go back and go into our blaster controller script, which is in replicated storage, inside scripts folder, and we can go inside the blaster controller. And there's a couple things we have to do. So we can say max ammo equals blaster get attribute dot total ammo. And as you can guess, we are going to go inside on the client side. We're going to go inside our reload function. Shooting. Reload. Okay, found it. And basically, it's going to be kind of like the how we did it in the server. So we're going to need a couple functions. We're going to say local bullets needed equals magazine size minus self.ammo. And then we're going to make another function, local bullets to reload equals math.min bullets needed self max ammo. So we're getting the bullets needed, the bullets to reload, and then we're going inside our task here, just like the server, but now we're validating on the client side as well. So the client and the server are going to be working together here. So we can actually get rid of this. We're not going to make ammo equal magazine size just yet. We're going to say self.ammo equals self.ammo plus bullets to reload. And then we can say self.max ammo equals self.max ammo minus bullets to reload. And then we can I like to separate this GUI controller from the rest of this stuff. Just for readability. And then now we could tell the GUI controller, okay, this is our new amount. Change the text. So we could say self GUI controller, and then we just call our function. Let me see. Set max ammo. I'm just looking at how it's spelled. Set max ammo. And then we can tell it that this is the number max ammo. All right. I think that should do it. I think that should make it all work. We shall see. Let's press play. So 30 out of 120. Let's fire. All right. So it's validating on the server. And now it's validating on the client side 30 out of 118. Let's check the pistol, make sure that works. Do some testing. Yeah, it seems like it's all working. And making sure that it's also saving even when we're switching. Now, there's one more thing that we have to test. Now, what would happen if we have 0 in our reserve and our ammo? Right. So that's exactly what I thought. So we don't have like a check to make sure that it stops the reload when there's no more ammo and there's no more reserve ammo. So we have to go back inside our blaster controller here, and we have to go into this function, can reload. Basically, this is a check to see if can the player reload. So that's where we're going to be doing. We're going to say end self dot max ammo. We're going to say 0 and then put an N for and not self dot reloading. And this should fix the problem. Yeah, let's test this out. This one doesn't have a lot of ammo, so we'll use this. And I'm clicking, pressing the reload key, and it's not reloading. Okay, so that fixed that problem easily. All right, so that is done. Yeah, I mean, now we can get through the other stuff, which is the reticle. Now, I want to figure. Now, for the reticle, if I remember correctly, I wanted the when the player aims, the reticle disappears. So, what I'm thinking is, we go inside our replicated storage, we go inside our script, and we'll go inside our view model controller. Why we're going inside this? Because since we're lerping, um, we have a we have a thing called aim progress, and once it reaches um, 0, it means we're not aiming. Once it reaches 1, it means we're aiming. So we can kind of use this to our advantage, right? So we could say if self dot aim progress equals 1, then we could say does this script call our GUI? That's a good question. I don't think it does. Okay, we might have to call it in this script. So if we go inside our GUI controller, or actually our blaster controller, we can kind of see how this works. So what I'm thinking is, unless we use an event, I'm just trying to think what would be the best way. Um, actually, before we try messing around with the aim progress, we'll get rid of this. Get rid of that, and we'll go inside the blaster controller because the blaster controller has the GUI controller, the view model controller, all that stuff. We can actually go down here and let's see, where is it? Where is it? Initialize. Yes, yes. So we when we made the aiming, we added a flag. We can actually use this flag. We can say if self.aiming equals true, then we could say self GUI controller, and then we can go inside the GUI controller here and find our reticle. I just gotta remember what we did here. Doing a quick read, quick read. We could actually, you know what? We might have to make a new function here. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, so this might take a second. So what I'm thinking is, I think I kind of got it figured out. We'll make an aiming equals false, and then think quickly. All right, let's try something. Let's see. We can use this to our advantage. I think I still want to use this. Okay, so we might have to add a check maybe. So let's go inside this reticle tween function here, and we can say if self.aiming, then self.reticle GY reticle visible equals false. And then we can return. So then it stops and it returns back to this function here. And then we can add an else. We can say self dot reticle GY dot reticle dot visible equals true. So if aiming is true, we'll make it visible, and then it returns back to the top, and it'll keep returning back to the top. Uh, if it's not if it's not true, if self aiming is false, then it'll just continue. So I think that is the approach we're gonna go with here, and then we can come down here, function GUI controller is aiming. Basically, kind of the same concept we had inside our view model controller, um, or start aiming, stop aiming kind of thing. But we're just going to be doing it inside our GUI controller now. We can say self aiming equals true, and then self dot reticle GUI reticle visible equals false. And then we can make another function not aiming self dot aiming equals false, and then self dot reticle GUI dot reticle dot visible equals true. And then now we can go back to our blaster controller and plug those in. Self.GUI controller is aiming true. And then down here, basically the same thing. GUI controller, not aiming true. And let's see if that works. Reticle. Okay, so I spelled something wrong. Reticle. There we go. So it's working, but it's not. We're getting an error here. Okay, so visible is not a valid member of frame. What happens if we just make this false? Just true and false. Bear with me, I'm just trying to make sure that it's not like overlapping in certain spots. Yeah, I guess that kind of works. I kind of did unnecessary coding there. Yeah, I could just make this true and false and let this handle everything. I don't know why I was trying to do that. Like call the function again. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense now that I think about it. Um, yeah, this is pretty good. Um, I mean, this is kind of like a first iteration. If I was gonna make it better, might take a little bit, but I would try and implement it with the view model controller and use the self.aim progress to make it a little bit more tighter. So then when aim progress is like say 0.9, because this is since this is lerping and this is using like delta time and it's updating at a constant here, that when self.aim progress is at 0.9, then um then take away the reticle. Right now it works for sure, but as soon as I click the aim button, like right here, it like stops. I kind of wanted to stop like right there, you know. But yeah, this works. So I think we're just gonna keep it for now and just call it good. Now the last thing we got to do now is just fix the third person, how the third person looks, which is very simple. I already have a video on it. So I'm gonna kind of fast forward this because it's very simple, but I'll explain what I'm doing, what I'm gonna do, anyways. Um, what we have to do is we have to go inside our replicated storage, inside our view model, and we can just grab this, put it out in the workspace, and then we're gonna grab our tool, starter pack. We'll put this out in the workspace, and we have to go inside our blaster, and basically we have to copy and paste our view model here. We have to copy and paste the IDs, not the whole thing, but the IDs specifically. Here, I'll do an example. So we'll take the body, copy that, and then we'll go inside our tool, inside the blaster. We find the ID, and we just paste it, and it should just change automatically. And then we'll just move this out of the way for now. An important thing that you have to keep in mind, because so you don't mess it up, we have to first we have to copy and paste over. We have to set up how the view model the model looks. We have to make it look like an AK, right? And then we have to line up the handle of the gun to this handle right here, so it doesn't mess up. So it doesn't make all the parts look all jumbled. So what I'll do is I'll do an example. I'll do the entire example of this so people don't get confused. So let's go and find our magazine. Actually, we'll start with the big stuff here. We'll do our trim A. Copy, paste. Move this over. And then we'll find our trim B. Copy and paste. Move this over. Find our trim C. Copy, paste. And then we could find, what is the charging handle? Did I make this invisible? I'm not sure. No, I actually have. Okay. So we'll just copy and paste. Copy, paste. Move this over. And then we have our magazine. Copy and paste. Wait, nope, we actually messed up. Okay, so copy, paste. Okay. So now we have our all our parts here. And let me kind of fast forward and get this all put together. All right, so we have it all set up. Make sure you do your muzzle attachment. And now we can kind of grab all of this. A caps lock. And we can just rotate all this 90 degrees. And now we need to line up this grip to this handle. Okay. Over this way. Forward. A little bit back. And that looks decent. Maybe a little higher. All right, so that looks pretty decent. Now we can test this all out. Let's see. Put this view model back. We'll change the color here in a second. I just want to make sure it doesn't look all jumbled in the third person. So we'll press play. Take out our AK. There it is. Nope. And let's see how that looks. It doesn't look too bad. We can always fix it a little bit. I think that's good enough, honestly. We can always make the whole model smaller, and then get this left hand to be on. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it all right. So then you guys have a perfect example. So we'll just scale this down. And then now we can move it. Kind of move it farther back. Let's just see how that looks. Start pack. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, that looks a lot better. We can come down a little bit. Down, back. All right, let's see. Yeah, that works. And nothing's all jumbled, so that looks pretty good. All right, so let's kind of change how it looks now. Let's see. We'll go back into our view model here because we have a couple surface appearances, right? So let's see. I think we could just duplicate, and then we could just put it inside our blaster body. I mean, it looks like it works, so let's just do it like that. Let's see. Body charging handle. I guess it would be easier if I just drag this out, huh? So I can just like see what's going on. I think the charging handle I just have it straight black. Okay. Charging handle black. Then you have the magazine. Duplicate. Magazine. We have trim A, which is just brown. brown, whatever. And then trim B, just an earth blue. What we do is just copy and paste this. Paste these colors. Make it a lot easier. And then trim C. From C, we have a surface appearance, so we can just duplicate that and then put it in our trim C. And that should be it. We'll get the that's good. That's good. Reddish brown. So we'll just get these. Step. Copy. Paste. And there we go. Now that we have our AK completely set up, we can put all this back. Everywhere it needs to go. And you can see how it looks in the third person. Bam. Easy peasy. So yeah, that is basically how you do it. I'm not gonna really show. I'm just gonna do the pistol and the rocket launcher on my own time because it's basically the same thing, and it'd be kind of redundant just to show the process again and again. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today's video. Just to recap everything we did today. Um, we fixed the reserved ammo. Now we have reserved ammo. We fixed the GUI, customized it just a little bit. Um, where we did some third person, fix the third person, and make sure this all still works. Yep. And we also made the reticle invisible when we aim. So yeah, I mean, we are one episode away from finishing all this. The last episode is going to be kind of a hefty task because we have to make a shotgun and do all the animations for the shotgun. So that's going to be a little bit of a process. So, but yeah, we are one episode away, and for for this for this series to be done and open source for everyone to use. And yeah, so like like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, so you can keep up to date on this content. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.